It's less gross because they're cousins. Hey, everybody, welcome back to TV Show here on SourceFedNERD. I'm going to do that one more time. Hey, everybody, welcome back to TV Show here on SourceFedNERD, talking about Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 7, The Broken Man. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me on the couch, Maude Garrett.
Sup, I've got the tweets happening, so if you use that hashtag TV Show, I could be reading your tweet out.
Yes, and Mr. Joel Rubin.
Hi, I'm Joel, and I think you should keep that first intro you did. I thought it was beautiful.
Thank you. We could put them both in the video. How about that?
Someone had a holiday.
I know. I've been on vacation for 2 weeks, and I'm really, really happy to be back. I'm so excited, and so excited to be talking about this episode of the show. To be honest, I'll be straight out.
Don't lie to me.
I
fucking lie to
me. I
me.
had all but written off Game of Thrones at the end of last season. Like, Hard Home was amazing. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, but it was a
the
slow
last
burn.
couple of seasons have kind of burned me out. Some of the storylines didn't really go anywhere. Dorne didn't really go anywhere. Arya being in Bravos didn't really go anywhere. Dany's stuff didn't really go anywhere. And there was just this crushing feeling of when. And this season, I feel like we've been getting so much joy, so many great reveals, so much forward motion. I feel like everything's moving in a very positive direction.
Why do you think that is? What has changed in the show to provide that forward momentum, Matt?
I think it's just the freedom to separate from the books and do their own thing, for the creators to be able to expedite the story to get to the most exciting points.
Get those fan theories in action.
Yeah, some people might refer to it as like a fan fiction season, but I'm kind of cool with that when the writing is as good as it is.
See, the thing I like about it is that I love the books, but I don't think that the show has done itself justice by feeling that they needed to hit every note that the book was giving you. And I think that the liberty of knowing where the story is going and they're going to get there the way that they get there, I think it's just, it's liberated them. I feel like the actors are having more fun with the show.
Yeah.
I feel like it looks better than it has before. I thought this, in particular this week, while not an action-packed episode, was a beautiful episode. It looked magnificent, and it was meaty and fun. I liked it.
And the best episodes of Game of Thrones feel like a whole piece. Like, sometimes episodes are just kind of like a bunch of storylines thrown together. I feel like the Sandor Clegane story, which is emblematic of why this season is so good, really shows why this episode worked so well for me. Because you don't need to see Sandor Clegane, almost dead, and then healing, and then talking for episodes about why he's maybe having a change of heart. In one episode, this is how you use a cameo, because so many people were so excited when Ian McShane was cast on Game of Thrones. Like, who could he possibly be playing?
When he started revealing big plot points in every single interview and was like, what?
Oh, well,
you Game of Thrones fans, like, shut up. Just because I'm saying something. I reported on all those
still
stories.
didn't know who he was. I thought that maybe he was somebody at the Citadel, or he was going to be involved with the Sparrows or something. He just said he was a man of faith, and that maybe someone might come back. But to just come back, the effectiveness of all these people holding these tree trunks, and then one man holding one. Who is it? And it's Sandor Clegane. Oh shit, he's alive.
He's alive.
And then in one episode, you give him a purpose for being, and you set him off on a journey with a course of direction, and to be able to plot point where he's going to go.
But we don't know.
It's really exciting.
But I also love the fact that it's not telegraphing what he's going to do or where he's. You think but maybe he's going to attack the Brotherhood without banners. Maybe. Well, we'll get to this.
Yes.
But I very much liked it. I felt like it was a character arc in an episode, as opposed to you're getting little bits and snippets of a little bit of progress and a little bit of progress and a little bit. I was sick of a little bit of progress, and now I get the wide scope of a guy, and that's wonderful. The only disappointment for me with Ian McShane when he was announced as being on the show, we didn't immediately know who he was going to be, even before it was Man of Faith. I was really hoping he was going to play Euron Crowseye, because he would make a fucking badass pirate.
Oh yeah, or at the very least Randall Tarley, someone who has a big importance to the story that we've known so far.
But I really loved the impulse, because you know that Ian McShane can play like a badass.
Yeah.
I really love the impulse to have him play a reformed badass, and I think it worked for the character very well.
He did it justice. I really liked him in it. For this one, I think we have, I felt like last episode was a little bit of a bridge, and I say that's because you're building a bridge to get to a point.
Yeah.
Didn't really get those hits that I wanted in this episode either, and I think we've just got another bridge, which is sort of slipping back to season 5, what we got there, which is tell a long story, not a good story. That's a little bit harsh, because I did like the progress in a lot of these, and I really do like they're pick and choosing storylines to focus on now. They're not having it all right, there are 7 arcs that we're going through, let's try and just tell a snippet of each one.
Right.
They're going, we're actually going to spend this one not talking about Dany.
See, I would disagree about this being a bridge episode, because every single scene served a purpose.
They always do.
They always do, but like there's something satisfying about like we're not just watching Sansa and Jon, thrust into a situation trying to figure out like how they're supposed to survive. This is them actively building an army. This is actively heading us towards the Battle of the Bastards or Bastard Bowl or whatever you want to call it. Like every single scene I felt like served a purpose. There wasn't really any filler, no fat on this episode. And there were so many things that were just satisfying. It's satisfying to see Jon build his army. I love the scene with, can we talk about the scene with Lady Mormont? How great is this little girl? Amazing performance. Like legitimately, like that's like a guest actor Emmy nomination there.
It's so interesting because that's a character that you don't even see in the book. She's mentioned once, but people love her for some reason. And then we saw her character, and she was awesome. And if you stuck around after the show,
the creators talked about
D&D talked about well, yes, that was our impulse, and like it's a risky move working with a child actor, and she was amazing.
She blew it away.
And like that's what I think so many people love about the Northern storyline is all of the Northern houses, like they're fiercely independent, they're full of badasses, they're not, for the most part, they're not political schemers. They just get shit done, and I love a strong 9-year-old woman character who gets shit done.
I was doing the Lady Jorah.
The pause.
Oh, no, I was high-fiving you. I don't care.
I know.
I wish Jon had gone up and just been like,
Yeah.
But that's my favorite thing, and I have a feeling that will actually last. Some people will just do that little bit of a no, I'm 10 years old and I'm cutting you off. But she was so strong, and she does kind of like bring what the North is all about. And at the end of the day, a lot of shit goes down all the time, but loyalty will never break. And I think the fact that she's like, we've been serving and helping and siding with the Starks for hundreds of years, and even though I'm 10, I know the weight that bears.
But for some people, that loyalty does break. Like with the Glovers, for example. What I loved about these three scenes,
glove, no love.
Jon, it perfectly illustrated Jon, Sansa, and Davos's approach to this oncoming war. Jon talking to the wildlings and how he speaks their language, the language of common folk. Like, this is the truth. I'm not bullshitting. I don't need to put on any airs here. This is the truth, and you know that we need to do this, and they agree. Then going to Bear Island and Davos being able to bridge the gap between high society, high lordship, and plain speech, and then Sansa bringing home with the Glovers like the authority of like, you will bend the knee, you must do this, and then ultimately seeing that that's not going to buy your way into everywhere.
Right. I do love like the show don't tell approach to diplomacy, and and not having them have to have that conversation of, I'm going to talk to these people and I'm going to say this, and then you're like, we have this game plan, but like they each have their different philosophies that they bring in. I really appreciate it. I liked it a lot.
I got some tweets really quickly.
Please.
Ricardo A. Leon at Ricardo said, if Lyanna Mormont had 3 dragons, this show would have been over a long time ago.
Yes, it would have. She would have already used them at this point.
Yeah.
That's kind of all I've got.
She would have sent them north and they would have burned down everything.
There's a lot of world build. For the first time, I think also in a long time, the show is doing world building, and they're not just sort of stagnating. And I like the fact that they're mentioning a lot of things that we're not seeing on screen right now. I just said I like that the show don't tell, but I think that they're setting the stage for a lot of stuff to come. And I really appreciate the fact that like we're hearing about the Manderleys. Like that's a fairly important Northern house that I'm excited to see also what their sort of reveal on the show is going to look like, because I think similarly to the Mormonts, they're a fan universe favorite, and I'm like, it's something to really look forward to. I'm like, they're not just mentioning them to have names read on the list.
It feels like everyone is moving. They're on the move. Jaime is moving down to Riverrun. We're seeing the Blackfish for the first time in a few years. We're finally seeing Edmure for the first time in a few years.
Arya's moving on from Braavos.
Right. The scene with the 2 bags of silver was just such wonderful character development to see who she became in Braavos. Now, I wish it hadn't taken 2 seasons to get us there, and I honestly don't believe that it needed to take that long. But like it's economic storytelling like that, where you show don't tell who she has become, but then a girl is fucking stupid because that old woman was creeping up to her with the expression and body language of someone who wanted to literally eat off your face. Yep. And it's not like she's blind anymore.
And it was so surprising because she at the end of last episode, she did seem like she knew it was going to be coming. And I mean, surprising in the sense of like, surprising how just like blah blah blah, just walking through the city she was.
Really confident.
I think she was just really self-satisfied with
Yeah.
how she negotiated that travel.
One thing that's striking me now in that, we're talking about Arya. We just talked about Emir and, the Blackfish, Brendan and Jamie, and we're going to talk about the Greyjoys eventually. But how many confrontational moments of this episode took place on bridges? Actually, I just
Interesting.
realized.
Is
Bridge
that because it's
episode.
a bridge episode?
I don't know. See, I
No.
think it's more about the like. I think it's supposed to be representative. Again, I sort of just working this theory out in my head right now, but I think it's supposed to be more representative of the characters transitioning from one aspect of what they've been doing to what they will do in the future. So
Right.
with Jamie, it has been like transitioning to life not being in the King Guard. For Theon, it's obviously transitioning from being Reek to going to try and be back to Theon Greyjoy. And then for Arya, it's rediscovering her Stark.
She got pushed off a bridge.
But she was
That's a
Well, she
metaphor.
jumped off a bridge.
she
Well,
jumped
that's
off.
true.
Yeah,
That's
she
Yeah.
pushed and jumped.
She pushed
the old
and
push and jump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old
Classic.
push and jump.
Sarah
It's the first
Cotter.
thing they teach you at Faceless Man School.
Yeah, the push and jump, especially into a body of water that
Yeah.
you can swim away from. Sarah Cotter at Sarah S_Roses. You'd think Ari would. I'm dying. You'd think Ari would know better than to talk to strangers, especially when she's running away from people who can have any faith.
Yeah.
We all saw it coming as the audience, but we were still, I don't know about you, but were you still a little bit shocked when the stab happened?
Shock isn't the right word. I don't know. What about you, Joel?
I will say I was impressed that the show made the commitment to stab her. I don't think she's going to die, obviously. I
Right.
think if she's walking around, she's going to be fine, if not severely injured. Some resolution will have to come with the waif, I think, at some point. But I think I was surprised with like the fact that they actually stabbed her, and she didn't just like run away or fight her immediately.
Right. I guess I wasn't so much shocked as I was like, really? Because death no longer is real on this show and hasn't been for a few years, because anyone who dies can just come back at any point. Like, death no longer, for me, has stakes on this show.
I don't know. We haven't seen Catelyn Tully come back. We
Well,
we haven't seen Joffrey Baratheon come back.
Right.
Death is on, at least on the show, still fairly permanent. One thing I do appreciate is how often Starks get stabbed in the stomach. Just like constantly, like all of them getting stabbed here and here and here.
Not Naomi said, enough with the multiple stabbings in all capital letters. I had the same thing. It's like, man, the Starks just can't catch a break.
At least she didn't have a baby cooking in there like Talisa did.
That's true.
But a lot of people also kind of coming to the conclusion being like, was this maybe perhaps, or I am actually on.
Oh, were you? Oh, I'm sorry.
this is-
I saw a pretty thing.
This is on right now. This is-
Joel, focus on Game of Thrones, not on the pretty
That
Twitter
is a
thing.
pretty-
Someone
Game
did
of
a
Thrones.
pretty cool picture.
Okay, that's pretty neat.
Sorry.
That's okay. Arya, the fact that Arya got stabbed was Jaqen testing the waif. The waif failed. He said, don't let her suffer. And she stabbed 3 times and then
Interesting.
twisted the blade. So they're saying maybe the waif has failed her own test.
That'd be cool.
I saw after last week's episode a lot of theories that were blatantly wrong. In that it was maybe a Fight Club kind of situation where the waif and Arya were the same person,
Oh, for crying out loud.
and that the waif was the faceless man's like version of Arya in her brain, and she had to kill the Stark and blah blah. And that obviously did not bear any fruit this week. I did
No!
not think it was going to, but I'm just glad to see that I love seeing these fan theories coming now that we're out of the books. And we're
Right.
seeing shit moving.
Anything goes.
People come up with these crazy theories and then they're immediately debunked, which I love.
Right. Well, that's how good TV should be. And especially considering that, it seems like some long-held fan theories are coming true, like Hold the Door and stuff like that. So it finally feels like fresh and exciting again to guess and to hope and to dream.
Yeah. Or even a long-held fan theory that is backed up with a lot of textual evidence of Sandor Clegane being alive.
Right.
Yeah.
So back on Arya, do you think that she's going to chase down the waif and kill her, or is she just looking for an escape?
I don't know.
What's her next step?
I hope that she just tries to get the hell out of there. I was really compelled by her holding her bleeding stomach as she wanders through the street, looking at all these people. Not only are all these people just watching her bleed out and not giving a crap,
Right.
but also that any of them could be the way for any of the faceless men.
I like that a lot too. It was really creepy and I think highlighted a lot of her. Oh yeah, right. I'm in a seriously precarious situation right now.
Right. Yeah.
But one thing that you kind of don't see in the show is you only see ever 2 people in this temple, and so all right, we just saw the faceless or the waif, so theoretically she could be any one of those people. But
She thinks she's
it's not
killed
like, it's
her,
like
though.
there's an army of people coming after her. And so, like, to me, even though like that is a creepy moment of her like stumbling down the street, looking at people and understanding what her headspace is like intellectually, I just can't be that worried about it because there aren't dozens and dozens and dozens of faceless men.
Yeah,
Does-
I don't necessarily know. I personally thought that it was really effective. It shows how alone she is, and that's really important. Like, she's somebody who's been alone ever since she left Sandor Clegane, ever since she left the Hound, and to really have her finally realize just how alone she is, I think is really important, especially if her goal is to get back to everybody. And it's going to make it so much more satisfying when she eventually does.
So to answer your question, will she escape or will she go confront them? I think from a story point, I think I would agree. I would like her to just like jump on the ship and leave and like
Right.
take care of herself. I think from a story point of view, it will be more richly satisfying to have some sort of conversation and standoff with Jock and Hagar and with the Waif. I think that's got to happen there. That storyline has to close somehow. Typically the show closes storylines before they move on.
That's true. They
Except
close
for-
the loop,
except for
except for
Dorne.
and Gendry.
And Gendry.
Yeah.
Well, the
So-
reason everyone makes fun of Gendry is because like it's
He's
such
still
an
alive.
anomaly,
Yeah.
because that doesn't happen very often.
Oh,
Right.
did he row all the way to Bravos? And is
And
now,
now he's Jack and Hagar.
Or at least
no,
he's got his face down there in
No,
the
he's-
faceless man
he's
tomb.
going to see
or-
Arya bleeding out. He's like, Arya,
Oh no!
Oh,
let me help you.
no.
Oh, I just built some armor you can
Who
wear.
thinks she's gonna warg into Nymeria after she dies?
Where is
God damn it.
Nymeria?
Yeah, we gotta figure that out too.
Well, we're finally back in the Riverlands, so maybe
Yeah.
we'll see some wolf pack.
Speaking of the Riverlands, how satisfying is it to see Jaime at the front of an army again?
Oh, it's great.
I
And
liked
seeing
it.
him not wearing his Kingsguard colors, like seeing him wearing Lannister,
Lannister
red,
colours, yeah.
super exciting.
And how he just kind of comes in there and be like, oh, this is a schlep. Look what you've done. This is sloppy. This is bad.
Yeah.
No. And you two, this guy's called out your bluff. If you're going to kill him, actually kill him or jog on. I've got this. And he
Yeah.
just regulated the situation. But then also straight away got regulated himself. So it's this key chain of command that's happening.
There's so much about the Riverlands sequence that I loved. One, Bronn's back, baby.
Yay!
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
missed
man.
him so much.
So much. It's been so long, and I just love, I love him not even failing upwards. I love like the social climbing of Bronn and talking about like when he first meets Tyrion, and he's like, I just want meat and some wine and like to nail a couple of girls every once in a while.
Now
And
he's
now
got
he's
lords
like,
and
I want a
lands.
castle. I want to be a lord. I want to have a highborn lady and all this.
It's like you made all these promises, bro. What's happening?
And he's good at what he does.
Yes.
That's what I love about him. He's competent.
He's talking the talk because he can walk that walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the relationship between a seasoned warrior like the Blackfish and Jaime, who hasn't really he hasn't seen battle in, as far as we know, like 10 or 15 years or something.
Yeah.
And additionally, I just love seeing Edmure Tully because I'm a big fan of HBO's Rome, and giving Brutus any more on-screen time just makes me happy.
Well, yeah, Tobias Menzies is awesome, even if
In
he doesn't
anything.
get any lines, and he's great
His
on
face-
Outlander too.
His face is just so expressive. I love it.
Am I the only one who thinks he looks really out of place in the Game of Thrones universe? I think he looks really modern. It's like A Knight's Tale when they cast Shannon Sossaman as
Yeah,
the...
well.
Well, you can't fix everything.
Okay.
But no,
Someone
I
out there may agree with me.
I really enjoyed that. I don't know about 10 to 15 years. That seems a little bit long considering that the Stark children are in many ways just still children.
Well, yeah, except so my understanding of the timeline here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the Greyjoy Rebellion was about 10 years ago, 8 or 10 or 12 years ago, and Jaime definitely was part of that.
he was part of that, and he fought in season 1 before he was captured.
But not in a battle, though.
Not in a big battle. He didn't really earn his stripes as a commander.
Right.
He was just known as the best fighter in the Seven Kingdoms.
And so it's really fun to see him leading an army, I think.
Yeah. So really, really satisfying to see that as well. Let's talk about what's going on in King's Landing. I'm very I know that nobody thought that Marjorie had really gone over to the High Sparrow side, but I love how well this story was told about how she's playing a double-sided game that's more complicated than it seemed initially.
And she's sorry, I keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
That's all right. Well, how the fact that Tommen's like, oh, the faith, we must have that. And then the High Sparrow is just like, so Marjorie, Tommen says that you've been absent in his bed, not making him an heir. And she's like, well, my faith is distracting me right now. Well played.
Yeah. The thing I like so much about these scenes is that it just shows how good Marjorie is at the game. Better than even her grandmother, who is one of the best.
Yes.
Like,
Well, she fooled her.
Yeah, she fooled her. She's fooling everyone. And you can argue whether she's fooling the High Sparrow or not. I think there's arguments to be made on both sides.
He always smiles, but never with his eyes. You notice that?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
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 But I think that she, for the time being at least, she's got him, like, at least she's saying the things that he wants to hear, even if he doesn't 100% believe him.
Well,
Maybe, but
he's
like,
wow, you're picking up this text very, very quickly. And she's
But
like, thank you.
I'm a reader.
I think he wants to believe. Like that. I don't think that he trusts her. He sees it and he's impressed and he's like, maybe I'm like, this is too good to be true. But I think he wants to believe it. He wants to buy it. Like, he wants to believe that what he's doing makes sense, or at the very least, if he doesn't believe it, he wants that fake virtue to hold true for him to be able to conquer more of...
He's still power playing her, though. So when he sits down and he goes, I'm glad that you're over and you understand the real truth now, but your grandmother, Elena... And he basically threatened her.
Yeah.
It was like, you need to change her tune as well.
It's like, regardless of whether or not you believe, you are being supplicant, so I'm letting you know what's going down.
Right. And it's also, I understand that it's not even a veiled threat. It's a threat. Like,
Yeah.
she will come to harm. And I'm kind of surprised that if he lets her leave the city, although it seems like he probably will. I can't imagine that the show would spend time on a showdown as like a carriage is trying to leave the city or something like that. I thought it was really interesting finally to see another perspective on the faith of the Seven in the show that wasn't just we've had the High Sparrow now for 2 seasons, I think. And seeing somebody who had a similar path, Ian McShane's character Ray, was Ray? What's his name? Yeah. Which, first of all, very symbolic name. But Ray, his path was very similar to High Sparrow. They both were men who were really good at their jobs, and they both saw the light, but they had very different jobs, and they saw the light in different ways, and they act on it in different ways. So while the Sparrow, I feel like his sort of way to exercise his faith is via, like, threatening and trying to compel religion. Ray, like, he just wants everyone to get along. Like, he believes in faith through good deeds, and it doesn't matter like what you believe, like which God you believe in, as long as you believe there's a higher power that will be there to judge you, and so we should do things in this world. To
Exactly.
make
It's
it a
not
better
about
place.
making anyone believe anything. It's like, how can you not believe if you just look at how the world is? I don't care what you believe as long as you believe.
Yeah.
Versus the High Sparrow is using religion to take power back from the people that he hates.
Right. Which, I mean, it's arguable. Like, nobody really knows what his end game is yet.
Right.
Like, does he want the crown? Does he want power himself? I just love this hippie commune that exists somewhere, I guess, in the Riverlands or whatever.
Right.
And I felt like that show could have opened up like with the "I'd like to buy the world a Coke" song, like just holding hands, swaying and singing on a hillside
I'd like
with the sun
to
shining.
buy the world an ale. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
And build a sept over there or
Yeah.
whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I also really enjoyed the scene between Cersei and Olenna. It's always a pleasure to see these two together. And this scene in particular, where Olenna lays it out, it's like, you doomed our entire society because you were losing power and you couldn't handle it. And Cersei essentially admitting it for the very first time, which I think is a huge moment for her.
She admits it, but she's kind of admitted it before, and she said, "This is for the love of my son. Like, you love your granddaughter, I love my son. Like, we're the same." And Olenna being immediately like, "No,
We're not.
we are not the same. Like, you are crashing society because you're a fucking moron."
But I think it's that moment of like being called a fucking moron that's going to move her to more reckless action.
Oh yes.
And she doesn't have an army behind her. She doesn't have anybody behind her but the mountain. So she's going to start lashing out in a big way.
I was kind of terrified during that scene because he's just hulking there in the background, and like knowing that at this point in the series where almost all rule of law like kind of
Has
people
gone
just
out the window.
Yeah, like people just make their own rule of law. I didn't actually think that the mountain would like pick up Dame Diana Rigg and like throw her out the window or something like that. But the threat is there all of the
looming,
time.
literally, yeah.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Robbie Karlstrom said, at NoFace222, all the old people killed it in this episode. Davos, Queen of Thorns, Blackfish, they've embraced death and they don't care anymore. A resounding, a lot of people loving the interactions of no fucks given. Blackfish just downplaying him going, oh, I look at you, Jamie, and I'm disappointed. And Olenna, calling out Cersei, just being like, you know what, you know, I'm disappointed. Like, there's a lot of disappointment, but a lot of older people who have seen a lot being like, bugger off.
It's a really wonderful show in that, like, there are really meaty parts for excellent older actors.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, there are stars who are on the show, like Diana Rigg and like Jonathan Pryce.
Right.
But then there are also like older character actors that like have had excellent parts that are just so much add to the universe.
Tywin Lannister.
Well, sure, again, like another great British actor, but then like somebody like Maester Luwin, who was in the first 3 seasons, who was like an amazing actor. He did such a good job with the role, and like just thinking about all of like it's a acting factory, this show.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Greyjoys.
Okie doke.
Titties!
Yeah, in our naked scene of the week. Trademark.
That was well handled.
Yeah. Yes, Yara handled them well.
Yes.
As did all
With
the
her
other
face.
Greyjoys. Yeah.
Actually, Eli Green at the Green Lobster said, did we know that Yara is gay? I don't know if she's necessarily gay.
No,
She
it
got her
hadn't
brother
been
to
explored
slide a digit up.
earlier. Yeah, except for when Theon started fingering her. Creepy.
I think she's pansexual. I think she likes what she likes, and
Yeah.
and I like that the show doesn't make her ashamed of it.
She's got the best ass in, what was it?
Or you can't find an ass
Volantis?
like that in,
yeah.
in Westeros.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that it's not about making a point. It's just like, this is who she is, and it's very much in line with everything we've seen of her so
The
far.
best
She
part
takes
is-
what she wants.
Yeah.
And she knows that her her uncle is out to kill her. She is being chased and hunted down. And she's like, may as well grab some,
Yeah.
some ass
Some
while I can.
Volanti ass.
Just while I can.
But Theon Greyjoy, I mean, he's still Rick. He's still shaking and shaking
Yeah.
until this beautiful moment where Asher was just, she's always Asher in my head. Yara, was teasing her, oh, you can't get it up. Oh, you can't use it. Oh, what's going on? And then she's like, oh, too far. Enough's enough. And then put on and ramped up the tough love where she was just like, if it's too hard, slit your wrists, end it. But if you are going to fight by my side. And you just see when he lifts his eyes up, a change in him. And it's almost as if he's going to go, all right, I'll fight.
You do, and I thought the scene was, honestly, of all the scenes this week, I didn't love this. I did not.
I
love
would
this
agree
scene.
with you, yeah.
I like the change, and I think that it's about time that he changes. But I think that, from my perspective, what Theon really needs is not tough love, even though that's where he's from.
He needs a cuddle.
He needs empathy, and he needs someone who's not like, you had a couple bad years. He needs somebody who's like, holy shit, you've been through so much.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you are not the same person you used to be. And it's okay that you're not the same person that you used to be.
Yeah.
But somewhere there is like the germ of a human being left in there. And like, that's the person that like we need to bring
Right.
out.
But the Greyjoys aren't capable of doing that.
Well, no, of course not.
Yeah,
They're not a
it's-
cuddly, I mean, they've got 8 arms to wrap you in like
In
a
a
really
sticky
strangly,
embrace.
delicious
Yeah.
stranglehold. But
Yeah, but it's definitely not their strong suit. I think that it made it feel like a perfunctory plot fix rather than an actual realistic solution for him. Because it's not going to fix him by any means. He is going to try, and it does speak to maybe he's going to flame out in spectacular fashion, and that's going to work out really well in our favor. Plot-wise, is going to bring something really interesting. But I do like the way that you put it, Joel, of just like, he needs somebody to say like, there's some part of you that still wants to fight in there, and we're running for our lives. I need that person. I want to be able to give you more now than I can.
Well, I think
but
that's what she is saying, and like, maybe it's just me. Like, I'm not a tough love kind of dude. I'm a gentle love kind of dude.
I hear. So I think what's great about this though is that you're seeing another brother and sister in the north, and the Asher, Yara, and Theon is tough love, and it's almost like empty and it's void of so many things. And then you've got the Jon and Sansa,
But
which
at the
is
same
I
ti-
made you an embroidered coat.
right.
It looks like daddy's.
But at the same time, though, there is more openness and communication in the Yara Theon relationship, like something more real than the Sansa and Jon relationship, because she's still holding back. She's still withholding. She's plotting against him. She sent that letter to probably Littlefinger. We assume it's Littlefinger.
But she's fueled by vengeance.
She is fueled by vengeance, but like, Theon and Yara, at the very least, are freaking talking. Like, they both are on the same page. Like, Sansa, for all of her attempts to seem nice now to Jon, she is still treating him the way she treated him before their father died, where she's keeping him at a distance. She does not fully trust him. He is not necessarily blood.
I think she's genuinely happy. I think she's genuinely, like, satisfied to be with him again. I think that, like, they are the only family they have left. I don't think that she's faking, like, the enthusiasm of, like, that hug when they first saw her, like, the stitching of the thing. I don't think that's a bribery gift to, like, make him trust her, although he does. I will say, however, that, like, I kind of understand her point of view. Like, when Yara is the captain of a ship, and she is, like, the leader. Like, when you're a captain of the ship, you're the king of your ship. Sansa's not the king of anything. Sansa's been used, and she's a tool, and this is how, like, she's been taught to play the role that she has. And she can't wield a sword. She can't ride a horse. I mean, she can barely ride a horse.
She's no Lady Mormont.
She's no Lyanna Mormont. So, like, these are the skills that she has. Jon has his skills, and she has her skills, and she's going to use those skills, and whether it's for vengeance or whatever, okay. I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because Jon's losing his fight a little bit? Have you noticed that? No, this army's enough. That's it. Well, no more. And then she's like, are you kidding me? We need more men. And he's just like, eh.
I don't think that that's him losing his fight. I think that's him recognizing the gravity of the situation and the fact that winter is coming and that we need to get this done sooner or later. We don't have time. We wish we had better circumstances, but the amount of men that we're pulling from any of these houses and the fact that it's pulling teeth,
it's not enough.
It's not enough, and it's not going to be enough. So we might as well work with what we have and use the more time on our side, because it's the snow that killed Stannis' rebellion.
Yeah.
The snow killed his army.
Right.
Speaking of just numbers, and we didn't even touch on this at all this week, and who knows if we're even going to go back there. How many people are left at the wall?
Not a lot.
Not a lot, right?
Less than 200.
Yeah. Golly.
Yeah.
Well, good luck to those guys.
Not great.
They got Ed.
Yeah, Ed's got a fun job.
Sorry,
up
this is
there.
very much aside. Like, just remembering, like, the numbers of people.
Yeah.
Are just like, there's nobody. There's very few people.
And I think their provisions are like next to none.
Yeah. I think we covered all the major storylines this week, all the beats?
Bravo, King's Landing.
I mean, one thought that struck me when we were talking about Theon and Yara is that there is, like, yes, obviously, like, they need to redeem him somehow, and whether that's through him becoming a fully realized character again and succeeding at something, or becoming a fully realized character and failing at something and becoming a martyr, which would be equally powerful, or not becoming a fully realized character again and living with the consequence of his life. It's going to be difficult for them to do that in a realistic way because they spent so much time breaking that character down. We spent 3 seasons killing that character and stomping him into the ground, and you can't just watch that episode after episode for 3 years and expect him to turn around. And so it's going to be almost unrealistic to see it happen, and forced in a way, I think, in a way that does disservice to probably the ultimate character arc of Theon Greyjoy.
I don't think that he's just going to forget about everything that he's done, and I don't think that he can make up for it. I think that that's guilt that he's going to carry with him till the day that he dies. But as long as he's alive, he's going to help his sister, because his sister is better than Euron Crowseye. Yeah. And you know, whether or not in the end we're able to offer a satisfying ending to his arc, I honestly can't speak to that yet, but I do like what they're doing with him. And I do like that Yara and Theon are on their way to Meereen to beat Euron Crowseye there, to strike an alliance with Dany, because that's the most exciting thing I think that was mentioned in this episode.
Yeah.
And you're saying that Theon needs empathy to feel better about it? He's about to become friends with Varys and Grey Worm. That's a lot of empathy happening right now.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, that'll bring him out
the
of his
Ballas
shell.
Boys.
Oh, yeah. The 3 stooge eunuchs.
Yeah, basically.
Stunix.
All right, do we have any
three-season run.
predictions for next week?
Well, we saw, I think, the trial by combat happening a little bit. A lot of people were saying, I think I've even got one here by Mike Miller. Do you think that Cersei Lannister's trial by combat is going to be the Mountain against the Hound TV show? No, I think it's going to be, what's his name? Lannister.
Kevin Lannister?
No.
Lancel Lannister?
Yes.
That's a mistake. No.
Yeah,
that's not
not
the
a-
trial by combat.
No.
That's her lashing out and being irrational.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's her son barring her from seeing him because she's not wholly within the faith, and her just killing everybody to get to her son and shake some sense in.
It's almost like that was the beginning of last season where Lancel was like, I know all your secrets and you're going down. She was just like, I will kill you. And it was a matter of time. And now that she's done the walk of shame and she's got her undead person, she's like, all right, rip his head off.
I think if we do see what everyone has been calling Clegane Bowl for the last few years online, it's not going to be next episode. It'll be towards the end of the season. I am excited about Jaime and Brienne meeting back up, and their ultimate goals are finally going to come to a head. Like her goal of protecting the Starks and his goal of, I guess on this show, just loving Cersei so darn much.
doesn't make
Which
sense.
doesn't make any
I don't
goddamn
like this.
sense.
I don't like. Jaime had like the best arc. It was so good. Bad guy who was good, now we're going bad again. Doesn't make any sense. But Brienne is going there with Oathkeeper, his sword that was given to him by his father. Imagine she kills him with his own sword.
Well, that's the thing that struck me in that next time on package is like she's like, if it comes down to it, we'll have to fight, and he knows she was better than him when he had both hands.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is like he knows
She
that if they
beat
fight,
the hound.
she will kill him.
Yeah.
She will kill him.
What
And
monster killed you?
I
As a
hope that he
woman?
realizes he sees her and he realizes, you know what, man, I'm a dummy. My sister sucks. I don't love her. I love her.
Do you think Bronn is going to marry Brienne?
No.
She's a highborn lady.
When did she become the most desired woman in all of Westeros?
I love
3
it.
seasons ago.
She's not unattractive. The show can't make her. She's a fucking supermodel from
Yeah.
a Nordic country. She's beautiful.
Yes.
So what we're talking about the rest of the season, we've got John Michael here at JMTM_, who said, everyone's expecting the last episode to be the taking of Winterfell, right?
It could be episode 9. It just this next episode, based on just the package, it looks like a straight up banger. Like I think we are gonna get 3 fucking awesome episodes from now till the end. I'm so on board. I'm almost ashamed how on board I am.
I was really interested in the fact that last week's preview for this week had scenes of the Mad King chuckling. I think, didn't it?
No.
Was that just in Bran's vision? Okay, all right. So we're
Kill them all.
We're definitely
Burn
going to
them
see
all.
more of that. But like we didn't see Bran this week. We're not going to apparently see Bran next week either. So I'm interested for sure to see. All right, now that we've met up with Benjen, we're not calling him Cold Hands, I guess. We've met up with Benjen. He's downloaded all of Westerosi history. What's he going to do with it? How does it affect him? And how does it affect the greater story? What's going to happen with the Night's King, who's now like clearly on the march, and he knows that Bran is out there.
Right.
Danny is coming back to Marine on a dragon with a herd of 50,000 Dothrakis. Like everyone is converging in different places, and that to me is going to be the end of this season. Is all these convergencies, and then forecasting what's going to happen next. Will Daenerys set sail, or will it be the battle for Marine?
In 3 episodes, I don't think that much is going to happen. I think John Michael is right. I think that we're just going to have the taking of one of those, maybe.
I think you're underestimating like how much plot has to occur by the end of this series, considering that the creators have said that they have maybe about 14 more episodes left in them.
Yeah. So
why do they
8
spend
next
24
year,
minutes
and then
on the Hound?
Well, because his return is significant, because when he takes down the mountain, it's going to be significant, and whatever his end game for the series is, it's going to be significant. I think that when he and Arya meet again, it's going to be very, very interesting.
The Hound's going to kill Cersei.
That would be great. Let's do that.
I'm only doing that because Steve called it that the Hound would return, and he did. And so, pay our respects where they have been called. So good on you, Steve.
Yeah. Maude always pays her debts, guys. But,
Don't fucking say it.
Yeah, gang, thank you so much for joining us on hashtag TV Show. We're here every single Monday. Be sure to tweet us as soon as you've seen Game of Thrones, or not tweet at us, just tweet using the hashtag TV Show. Don't spoil, okay? Don't be a dick. No one likes dicks, okay? They don't like them. Let's just be clear. Or assholes, or whatever. You get what I'm
people like
saying.
dicks and
Trolls,
assholes.
whatever. Maude, where can the people find you?
At Maude Garrett.
Wonderful. Joel?
At Joel Rubin _.
Super. Aw.
There's another Joel Rubin out
I'm
there.
gonna look
All
him
right.
up right now.
And you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman, MattLieberman. And real quick, kind of selfish plug, but tomorrow on Screen Junkies
terrified.
Plus, I am in the championships of their show TV Fights. I'm competing against Hal Rudnick and Sasha Pearl Raver to see who is the greatest at TV knowledge and debate on all the internet. So if you want to tune into that, you can check it out on Screen Junkies Plus tomorrow live at 4 p.m. If you want to cheer me on. That would be really, really nice of you. If not, we'll see you here next Monday on TV Show. Thank you all so much. See you next week. Bye-bye.
The night is dark and full of terror. Today, I get to celebrate all things Warcraft by having a chat with the cast.